Hey dads, you know that moment when you blow up over something really small? Like a kid spills something, they leave a toy on the ground and you step on it and you freak out? That's not just anger, that's the buildup of pressure over time. And unless you learn how to deal with that, you are gonna make some very big regrets. This is what I call the spazz dad. This is what happens when it's like the Incredible Hulk. There's like this thunderbolt of energy that blasts through you and you don't know always how to handle it, so it can bubble up and come out in very weird and destructive ways. This is not healthy. Hey dads, you know that moment when you blow up over something really small? A kid spills something, they leave a toy on the ground and you step on it and you freak out? That's not just anger, that's the buildup of pressure over time. And unless you learn how to deal with that, you are gonna make some very big regrets. And that's what this is all about. Okay, so this is what I call the spazz dad. This is what happens when it's like the Incredible Hulk, this idea that you can go from a normal, hey kids, to right? And your face starts to get red if you're me. For other people, their fists clench. There's like this thunderbolt of energy that blasts through you and you don't know always how to handle it, so it can bubble up and come out in very weird and destructive ways. This is not healthy, but it doesn't mean that you're bad. It means that you have the wrong systems in place, okay? So the real pattern that you're stuck in is that you get overwhelmed, okay? There are too many demands of your time, your energy, and attention, and not enough outlets, not enough systems to handle it all. So it accumulates kind of like a plaque, like some sort of buildup. This creates tension, right? There's too much and not enough, right? There's too much stuff coming in and not enough time or energy to deal with it, so you snap. Too many inputs, not enough outputs, explosion, okay? And after you do snap, you feel terrible, right? That is one of the worst feelings in the world, is you helped to create these kids, right? Or it's towards your wife, and you've committed in front of everybody. If you're married, I promise to cherish and honor and protect you, right? And instead, I'm disrespecting you and I'm freaking out, right? Very different vibe than what you promised. And with your kids, you brought them into the world. And when you saw them that first day when they were just born, you're like, this is the greatest day of my life. To then turn into somebody who just freaks out on them, says regrettable stuff, maybe guilt trips them. It doesn't matter. It just comes out and you show them your ugliest side. You are filled with shame because that doesn't represent who you want to be. That's not what you signed up for, and you know you're better than that, but somehow you end up doing it. This is just a pattern, okay? But this is why you actually blow up. When you have too many inputs, I want to talk about these inputs because they accumulate throughout the day. When you wake up, let's say you don't have a good system for waking up. So as soon as you wake up, you check your phone and you check social media if you're a psychopath, right? But a lot of people do this. They, first thing out of the gate, start scrolling. This is the worst thing that you can do. This sets you up for a very rough day because now you've just awoken. You're freshly conscious and you're inheriting all of the worst of the world, just sucking in toxic waste. It's like, hey, I'm gonna wake up and eat some trash from the sewage processing plant over there. That's what social media is for your soul, right? So you have these inputs and then it builds up and then you get out of bed and then you're already stressed. You start having difficult interactions with your family or with your environment and you just start to feel chuffed. You just start to feel annoyed. And this accumulates throughout the day, and then maybe you go into traffic and now the way that other people are driving you is impacting you. It's just growing and growing until you're on the edge, right? And then you don't have a system for recovery, for processing this. Being annoyed or frustrated or even angry isn't bad if you can process it and let it out of you. Otherwise, you can easily take control, right? And when you don't have a process for letting it go and moving on to the next emotion, it accumulates and it accumulates. And when you have zero space between, because it's accumulated so much that you just snap, then it's just like from 0 to 100. And people are like, whoa, because you're totally normal and then you spaz out. This is how you blow up, right? So it's like a valve, a pressure valve. If you have tires, I just got my tires checked the other day. I went for a rotation and I found out that they were way under inflated because I was following the PSI on my car, but I live in a weird climate, Denver, Colorado, and you have to overinflate them to compensate for the shifting weather all the time. Anyway, at least that's what the guy says. And if you don't check your own PSI to see if you're overinflated, like you're tipping towards the edge of madness or anger or frustration, you're harboring resentment towards your wife, your kids, your boss, or something like that. You're starting to inflate too much, then it's very likely that you're gonna pop. But what a lot of us do is we hear from somebody just positive affirmations, okay? I'm fine, everything's okay, that doesn't fix anything. There's this phenomenon that I always butcher. It's called kereru in Japanese. And whenever I say it to a Japanese person, they're like, what? What? Kereru? And I'm like, yeah, kereru. And they're like, kereru? I say, kereru. And they say, oh, kereru. Like, that's what I said. Anyway, it's one of those things. But it's the idea of like, an example that I heard from a guy is when your dad comes home from work and you guys are all just sitting around the table eating, and then he just flips over the table and starts screaming and storms out of the house. That's kireru. That's what you want to avoid. That's what is totally avoidable. If you don't just harbor things and let them fester and grow and metastasize, right? So if you pretend, it doesn't work. You need to have systems. You don't need to be tougher. A lot of guys feel like a failure because it's like the bad result. They didn't want to do that, they did it, so then they feel like a failure naturally. So they're like, okay, I just need to try harder. Willpower. No, it's not willpower, it's systems. Willpower is an element, but it's only one of many. Systems are much more important. So there's a myth, and that's if I lose my cool, I'm just a bad dad, hard stop. When in fact, this is becoming far more common. We're in a very stressful time in history. There's a lot of unknowns. We're moving into a future that nobody understands. If you listen to Doom Scroll Johnny over here, we're all gonna get eaten by AI bots in just a few years. So of course people are freaking out. But there's also a lot of positive stuff, and it's very likely that we are going to not only be fine, but thrive. Very hard to access in this era because we're so overwhelmed. So the truth is that you're not a moral failure. You're just overloaded and overwhelmed, and there's a way out of this mess, okay? If you have unprocessed stress, if you have a bunch of unmade decisions, think about that, just open loops in your life. Too many things that you've said yes to and you can't possibly do them all. Too many feelings of I should or I wanna, but you don't do them. These are all unmade decisions, and so you're stuck in this kind of limbo. If you have unspoken needs, like you don't know how to ask your neighbors, your family, your community for help, and you're taking the world's burdens on your shoulders. And if you have unprotected margins, like no buffer zones between your demands and your capacity, like, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I could do it. But you can't actually do it. You don't know how to like say no, to have some sort of boundaries. This is how we get overwhelmed, okay? And so you need to check your engine light, like it's on. If you look at your dashboard in terms of your internal, we all have check engine lights for our physical body. That's like aches and pains, that's strange headaches that come out of nowhere. It's brain fog. We have all these symptoms from toxic buildup, from unhealthy sleeping and eating, from environmental stuff, from sedentary lifestyle, all sorts. But the same is true of our mind. We have so many check engines like, wow, that was a really dark thought. I've been having a lot of dark thoughts lately. You know, there are people with placards on the street saying that they want to really hurt and maim and dismember a certain member of our political system. These people are not well, right? To have a sign that says this means that you are past, like your engine light is flashing, there's smoke billowing out of your engine, you're not okay, right? But for all of us, whatever side of the political spectrum you fall under, you probably spend too much time hating the other side. Chill, back away, right? Emotionally, like are you harboring negative emotions? Are you lingering too long in like really emotions that take you away from the man that you want to be? Towards your family, towards your wife, towards extended family, whatever, towards your boss. And spiritually, anyway, you get into all this stuff. But the lights are on. And we need to be able to just stop and like take care of ourselves, right? So some micro practices that you can do is like when you're about to freak out, to just learn to like say, wow, I'm really upset right now, right? So it's like an awareness. Take a 30-second kind of breather to calm your body down. Because when we're emotionally and mentally just really stuck on something and it's building up and we're about to freak out, just to like take inventory and be like, yo, I need to chill. You go outside, you breathe, you calm yourself down, you realize how tense your body was. You got to name the load, be like, what's going on here? What I've been focusing on, what am I dealing with here? Step away. Give yourself a little while to like not think anything in order to it's like resetting, pressing the reset button on your phone. How many times, let me ask you this, is the problem with your computer that you've checked Reddit, you've checked Google, you've ChatGPT the crap out of this problem? How many of these problems are resolved merely by just rebooting your computer? It just happened yesterday to me on my phone. There's just a web browser thing. I just need to close the web browser. Easiest thing. So the identity shift that you need, and we all need to constantly update our identities, I'll make an entire video about that, is that you're not an angry dad. You're just overloaded. You're overwhelmed. And you can start to trace back. If you become a detective for yourself, you can start to understand, why is it that you're so overwhelmed? What are the systems or lack of systems that are facilitating this overwhelm? And you can start to chip away at that. And again, this is what adaptation is all about. And I teach you how to do that in this course that I have. But to be calm, like a lot of us want to be chill, even though we spaz out. And so this disparity in, who we are versus who we want to be creates a great deal of internal anguish. And so it's like calm isn't a personality issue, like how we identify. It's a character issue. It's how you are. And you can reorient yourself to be more calm and to be a chill person if you practice being a chill person. So your family will be forgiving of you if you learn how to get better at, dealing with your stress, dealing with your overwhelm. They will greatly appreciate it. Not only that, but that can become a victory for them. Because so many of us see problems in the kind of character of our kids, and we want them to change, but we haven't changed in a long time. So when you overcome, it doesn't mean that your overwhelm is a weakness. It's just something that needs to be worked on. And when you start to get good at it, you can say, hey kids, I overcame something, and they can really be inspired by that and see you as a model, right? Because a lot of parents want to act perfect. That just makes you unrelatable. The more that you kind of don't gripe about all of your pain and struggles with your kids, but when you show that you're not perfect, but you're a work in progress, and you actually do make progress, your kids can follow that. They can emulate that, okay? So your family never needs your perfection. They will always appreciate betterment over perfection. So you got this. Like, you can absolutely do this. And like I said, the fastest way is to just hop into one of my courses and I'll show you how to do it. That's what the adaptation legacy is all about. But you can also just start making small steps by identifying what it is that causes you to feel overwhelmed. Is it more emotional? Is it practical? You just have a crazy schedule that needs to be adjusted? Is it spiritual? You just need to do things like meditation and pray more in order to have the bandwidth to get through your days. Or is it physical? A lot of our stress and anxiety actually comes from things like magnesium deficiencies of all things. So you can figure it out, but I'm also here to help, and that's what this is all about. All right. I think that's all I got for you today.